Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, your favorite neighborhood crab man, Gabino Gaming, and this is my post Royal Rumble reaction. I appreciate everybody who tuned into the live event. If you didn't watch it, it'll be live up on the channel. Go check it out. I really enjoyed it. I was excited going into it, and the excitement kind of died down halfway through it, but that's neither here nor this. So we opened up with the Women's Royal Rumble match, which I actually enjoyed thoroughly. My favorite part about it was seeing Jordynne Grace, one of my favorite wrestlers from TNA, show up to a WWE event. There had been a lot of speculation and rumors about a discussion between TNA and WWE, and this literally shows that. She put on a good show, showed a lot of her strengths and her capabilities as a wrestler, through and through. I like seeing Jade Cargill show her strengths and her improvements in the ring. I think the highlight of the entire match was the fact that we didn't have any legend female wrestlers, because the women's wrestling roster currently is so stacked between the three brands, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, that you don't have to rely on these older legends to come out and put on a show. No Lita, no Trish, no Tori Wilson, none of them. Just the young and up-and-comers and the ones that are passing the torch down. I did call Bayley winning in my predictions. Check the shorts and TikTok. I called it. I like the ability to showcase the talent on the roster is something that I believe Triple H understands how to do, and him having all these young girls from NXT come up and show in this Royal Rumble that the future is bright within women's wrestling is great. Got to see a lot of my favorites: Piper Niven, Nia Jax, I don't care what you say about her, Jade Cargill, and Bianca did the Spider-Man meme, and it was just two people who were pretty much the same. It was a good Rumble for the women as far as it's come. I hated seeing Asuka get eliminated so early, because she's my favorite women's wrestler. But to each their own. She already got a belt, but I'd like her to stay a little longer. Also, there's a lot of really good spots. Watching Piper and Nia Jax go over it, and Chelsea Green get caught in the middle of it was pretty funny. Good little laughing spot for the Rumble. Excuse me. But through and through, I would give the Women's Rumble 4 stars. It was good. It was productive. It showcased the talent. We got to see the future. You didn't show Jade Cargill too early, so she has the chance to show her talents also, while not leaving her room to mess it up. Bayley winning it, so if we're getting Bayley versus Rhea, I'm okay with that. I like that matchup, because I don't think she's going to go against Io. Thought there was going to be a little bit of turmoil in the what is that group? Damage Control, but it didn't turn out to be that way. I like the spot between the Pitbull girl from the Creed and Jordynne Grace doing the suplex, but in my opinion, Jordynne Grace won because she was only doing it with one arm. Zoe Starks looked good. Hates Shayna Baszler. Overall, very successful Rumble for what it was looking for, because you got to debut a lot of stars, show the product of what's being developed in NXT for viewers who don't watch NXT regularly. You're getting to see these talent and be like, oh, I really like that girl. She showed flashes of this or flashes of that, and that's really all you could ask for. So 4.5 stars, 4.3, 4.2. I really enjoyed it. I do think that felt like the time between picks felt longer for the women's match versus the men's match, but we'll address that at the end of the video. Secondly, we had the Fatal 4-Way between Roman Reigns, LA Knight, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles. Me and the guy that I watched it with, Josh Hopper, go watch it. He was amazing co-host for the stream. We wanted, if Roman was going to win, to go over clean, and he necessarily didn't really go over clean, because Solo still interfered with the match, even though it didn't really. I mean, I guess it did interfere with him, because he was pretty much dead in water, and Solo caused the pin to get interrupted. We got to see a lot of really great spots from LA Knight. We did want to see Randy Orton catch AJ Styles out of the air when he go to do a phenomenal forearm, which kind of happened but kind of didn't happen at the same time. We knew Roman was going to win. You see my prediction. I said we know who's going to win and we know why he's going to win. Because they want him to surpass Hulk Hogan, and that's not going to be until like September or something like that. And it is what it is. I mean, the match was good. It showed a lot of bright spots in all the wrestlers, and Orton got to beat Orton. Styles did his thing. Roman showed kinks in the armor at points in time, and it was better that we didn't have to get Jimmy and Sola to cause the distraction for him to win. But the fact that he kind of went and did it on his own in a way. You could also say, well, the Samoan spikes really affected those guys and caused long-term damage, which is also very true. I'm not going to disagree with that statement at all. I don't know. I enjoyed the match. I'd give it overall, I think the pay-per-view is like a 4.5 stars. It's probably one of the better ones I've seen. I was actually excited going into it, and the excitement paid off in reality in the long run. It died down, and we'll address where it died down and why it died down throughout the video. I like how much action LA Knight got throughout the entire thing. He showed his ability to be a main eventer, and people I was listening to said that it was really Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, and the other two guys were just fill-ins. It didn't really feel like that in this match. Everybody had their own hand in the pot, and they were cooking. I mean, he had 4 great wrestlers. It's kind of hard for them not to cook. But yeah, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5. It was a good fatal 4-way. Would I like to see Roman go over without Solo? Of course. I mean, but that's just not the character that he's playing at this point. He's a conniving heel who relies on outside interference to get over. Simple as that. What else? Next would be the match that I could really care less about. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens started off on fire, taking it to Logan Paul, which immediately showed me as a long-term wrestling fan that the guy that's doing the most action is typically usually the guy who loses. And in this case, try to get the Logan Paul interference, which I called in my predictions video that Logan Paul's going to win in a cheating, conniving, snarling, cheater way. I mean, he looks good. The kid performs in the ring, and that's really all we can ask from him. His character's not really bland. He's better than Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, if you ask me, when it comes to character development. He plays this character, and he plays his role well. I mean, it's really simple as that. I didn't really see the finishing because I went to take my dog out or something. The whole brass knuckles things, and it's just what you expect. Either he was going to use it to win, or the other guys were going to get caught it for the loss. So I don't know if they do like a elimination chamber for the US title and add elimination chamber, or Kevin Owens, or they do another number 1 contender, because we only have like less than a month before the elimination chamber, because it's like the 28th of February or something like that. So the build up to that and see who his next person he goes against is interesting. I'm dialed in to see who could be the one to take the belt off of him. I'd like to see it be like Montez Ford or Carmelo Hayes, or I mean the options are a Braun Breaker. Like the options are endless on who you could do it and how you could do it. Does Kevin Owens use his rematch clause, or I mean, your opportunities are really limitless, and I know Triple H is probably going to cook up something nice for us, hopefully. So then we move forward to the final match of the night, which was the Men's Royal Rumble. So, we got to go back. Naomi also debuted again, which came in really early, which I didn't expect. I felt like it would have been a later in the 20s. 15 to 25 would have been the range where she would have debuted again, because it was a lot of speculation that she was going to be there. We kind of knew it was coming. But Andrade did the same thing. He came back pretty early. He got a good pop, so did Naomi. glad to see both of them back. They both want to work under Triple H, not underneath that nasty bastard Vince McMahon. But, you know, the match was, to an extent, underwhelming. You know, we had a pretty good idea who was going to be in like the final 4 to 6. We knew it was going to be like Drew, Punk, Rhodes, Gunther. And that's what we got. I mean, we know how things work in these things, and it's exactly played out exactly how it was supposed to be. I would have liked to see more people from NXT. I mean, there's so much talent down there. All we got was Hayes and Braun Breaker, and they both performed to the level that they were supposed to perform at. Braun Breaker eliminated Omos, which is great for him, and Dominic eliminated Braun Breaker, which is crazy. That's going to be nuclear heat for him. We got R-Truth doing the R-Truth bit in both the women's match and the men's match, which is him playing towards his character. We didn't get Kofi Kingston doing the typical Royal Rumble Kofi thing, which he's getting up there in age, so I'm not mad at it. But, you know, we didn't get Xavier. The Pat McAfee thing was funny, but it was a waste of a pick. You could have got that pick to literally anybody else. I mean, this showed the same thing. We don't need a bunch of old legends to fill in roster slots for the Rumble anymore because the roster is so stacked. I would have liked to see Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker working together, but Corbin wasn't there. Lashley went out on some bullshit, getting put out by fucking Karrion Kross, which led to them brawling, which I'm like, who the fuck cares in actual reality? Like, I don't know. It just, in reality, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't move the needle. It's boring. I wanted to see Lashley go in there and tear things up, which he had a couple really good spears and performed to his character, but like the whole getting pulled down by Karrion Kross is, I could do without it, in all honesty. I could do without it. Carlito was cool. Seeing Andrade and Garza. What is that guy's name? I'm going to Google it right here on Live and Full in Effect. LWO. What is that dude's name? Visit. Santos Escobar. Seeing them kind of match up against each other is cool. 2 luchadors. One thing we talked about in the live stream was the fact that the diversity of ethnicity at a certain point in the match was really dope. There was only one Caucasian American in the match, and it was luchadors and a Japanese guy and a black guy and a German, Austrian. Like, it's cool to see a lot of these other ethnicities get in the spotlight that they didn't get 10, 15, 20 years ago when Vince McMahon was in charge, because he had one thing in mind, and he wanted the big buff Brock Lesnar to be the face of the company. When you have better talent, better locations, I'm not saying Brock Lesnar wasn't great, but you know, like, he had a type, and that type is what ruled the company for as many years as it did. You see guys like Lesnar and Cena and Triple H and Hogan and like all of the guys at the top, Lashley, that have been world champions typically fit his type. And guys that don't fit his type was like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Like, there's been plenty of guys who didn't fit his type that probably was pushed from like Triple H and other executives and members of the board for them guys to become champions, versus us continuing to get in the same big buff bland guys that have no mic skills or no charisma, i.e. like Bobby Lashley. Lesnar developed a lot more charisma at this point at the end of his career, but now that he's being added into these allegations against Vince McMahon, I don't know if we'll ever see him again. But I do have high hopes and high expectations for Triple H, as he's probably like, he's like the top of creative now, and with him and like Triple H, him and Shawn Michaels, and with The Rock being on the board, I can see a lot of positive things coming out of this going into the future. Does this mean that it brings back Shane or Stephanie? I don't know. I could care less about either one of them, really. I like the product that we have. This allows Paul Heyman to also help, and it just feels like Triple H cares more about the product than than the overall numbers. And if TNA and WWE does like more business together, that will cause a lot of the demise for AEW and in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And if you ask me, in all honesty, and I think Triple H will be open up more to these collaborations with these other companies, unlike Vince McMahon was ever. We could probably get a forbidden door of some sort between the multiple wrestling brands across the globe. But, you know, I think the men's match kind of fell flat. It had points of excitement. I thought that they would have the Fatal 4-Way earlier before because those guys would still compete, but which they didn't. I'd give it like a 3.5. It was nothing special. Like, no point was I really on the edge of my seat until like the end, and the end had Cody Rhodes winning. I picked CM Punk because the numbers was pointing towards CM Punk winning, and did I want that in all actuality? Hell no. I hate CM Punk. He's a money hungry old grumpy man. But do I think Cody Rhodes finishes the story? Not unless it happens after September, because we know Roman's going to beat Hogan's record before he drops that title. It's as simple as that. And you can't convince me otherwise. They wouldn't show this stat week after week after week if that wasn't what the case was going to be in the long run. I don't know. I think the men's Rumble brought the rating down for the match a lot because it just didn't have that much excitement to it. Like last year we had Logan Paul and Ricochet doing the across the rope collision. That was fire. I mean, seeing Braun Breaker go out there and spearing the fuck out of people was cool. Gunther putting on a match was cool. The 1 and 2 where Jimmy and Jay was 3 chef kicks. Brilliant work. But like, outside of that, like, what else was exciting? Like, I don't know. The ending was kind of exciting, but Punk took too long and it cost him, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of backlash from him about him coming back and losing at the Rumble, but who the fuck cares about Punk's opinion, if you ask me? Because, in all honesty, I don't give a fuck about Punk's opinion. I'm not one of those guys who are like, oh, I'm so glad CM Punk's back. I'm not. He's taken away perfect minutes for guys to be successful, like Montez Ford and Hayes and Breaker and all these young guys on the roster that could use those minutes to go out there and shine and gain a following. I would have liked to seen the NXT North American champion. What's his name? What is that guy's name? It's the African dude. Oba Femi. I would have liked to see him. Him versus Omos would have been dope. Him versus Braun Breaker would have been dope. Him versus Bronson Reed would have been dope. Him versus Ivar would have been dope. I mean, there's so many other guys that could have been on this. I mean, at some point, the Royal Rumble might have to be 40, 50 people or so because you have so much talent on the roster. And the Royal Rumble is like one of the best places to display your talent. And there's so many guys that didn't get to display their talent. I think we had 2 NXT guys. Could have had more. Dragon Lee versus Ricochet. Dragon Lee versus Kofi. Bring Pete Dunne in. Like, I don't know. Wasn't a huge fan of the men's Rumble. And that's just me being brutally honest. I think there were so many other guys that could have used this time to display their talent for the better. And I feel like at this point I'm talking myself in a circle, but it's exactly truly how I feel. I don't think Rhodes should have won it because we know he's not going to finish the story. We should have got someone who we felt had a legit chance at either beating Rollins or beating Reigns. JD didn't need to be out there. Priest is cool because he has the Money in the Bank box, and if he wins the Rumble, he has 2 ways. He already cashes his way to the Rumble. To Mania, and if he loses, he can immediately cash in. I don't know. I just Wish there would have been more. There was no punch. Like, what is old boy's name from TNA? TNA World Champion. Oh, not TBA. TNA World Champion. It's the bald-headed guy. Alexander. Is that his last name? His name's Alexander, isn't it? Or is it? Oh no, it is whatchamacallit. What is his name? What is his name? Damn, what is his name? Oh my gosh, it's going to drive me crazy. Sorry for this pause and effect, but I'm really... Alex Shelley. I thought it was that Alexander dude for some reason. And another thing that I just saw, because I saw the pay-per-view for TNA Hard to Kill. It was a 4-card event. What about the tag titles? Both of them. The women's title. Both the women's titles. I knew Gunther was in the Rumble. That's how we knew he was going to win, because he was still the IC champion. I mean, double strap him up, if you ask me, I don't care. I'd be okay with that. Double strap him up, send his ass to the moon. He's a great professional wrestler. Like, what happened to these defending champions? I know, obviously, Seth Rollins can't defend because he's hurt, but we should have got both the women's titles, the tag titles. We got four matches. 2 were title matches, and there's all these titles. Like, I don't know. It just seems lazy and lackadaisical for them to have all these titles, but them not being competed for on a very popular main stage event like the Royal Rumble. Would the Royal Rumble have been 6 hours at that point? I mean, yeah. It does, but it doesn't have to be. Some of these matches can only be like 30, 45 minutes long, and you can still tell a really good story in the ring within that amount of time. But the fact that you got these people holding these belts and not competing at every pay-per-view is bogus as fuck. It's bogus. Why be a champion if you're not going to defend your championship? You know? I genuinely don't understand it. I don't. Like, you could have had NXT titles being competed for. There should have been more title competition at a pay-per-view than just 2. That just means there's lazy script writing because you're not building stories up to each pay-per-view. There's no story for Io going into pay-per-view right now with her having a rivalry, or Rhea, or you could have kept Gunther out for all I care and replaced him with Sheamus and have him have a story against somebody as a rivalry to compete for his title. Because, you know, if we're going into Elimination Chamber and it's only going to be a 4 card event, like, we're wasting talent, we're wasting titles. People are just stacking on days as champion without actually defending the title. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Because if it was up to me, all my champions would have to be fighting champions. Every belt's getting defended every pay-per-view. We'd have to do number 1 contender matches, tournaments, whatever it would take. We would build these stories to allow our champions to defend their titles each month at each pay-per-view. We need more fighting champions. As simple as that. We need more fighting champions. And hopefully Elimination will be better. I will probably live stream that one as well. Hopefully I'll probably try to do both nights of WrestleMania. I want to get back in my wrestling bag. Definitely going into WWE 2K25 because I really love professional wrestling. And this is where the random rambling becomes random rambling. I became a wrestling fan because my great-granddaddy and my great-granny were both wrestling fans when I was a kid. They would record every Monday, every Raw and SmackDown, and they'd wake up and watch it with their breakfast or throughout the day, blase, whatever. And my granny would always say, I can't stand that Randy Orton, that no good cracker. And it's crazy because what we had then, what we have now is completely different. The roster is as talented, if not more talented. You have 3 different shows, and yet I still feel a bit of watered downness to the product. And a lot of that does come behind Vince McMahon being in charge for as long as he has been in charge. And I know someone said Bruce Pritchard is his right-hand man. As long as he's there, Vince will still have his hand in creativity. Well, Bruce Pritchard just got to go then. Because we got to get out of the stigma that has been the Vince McMahon era and into a new, better wrestling product. I have a friend named Chaz Roop, shout out Chaz, said he's done watching wrestling because it all seems the same. And none of the other shows are competing. I mean, I'll tune into TNA and I'll check the clips for AEW because I love Joe and Aleister Black and Keith Lee and a lot of those guys over there, Moxley, Daniel Bryan, Claudio. The AEW roster is great, but Tony Khan some of the times it just seems so bleh. Love Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page in them, but it's just bleh. And TNA is finally getting back to the point where it's actually enjoyable again. Moose and the Rascals and Jordan Grace and all those guys and gals over there. And I'll always love New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I really hope Tama Tonga comes over to one of these American promotions and I can watch him weekly. I love Tama Tonga and Kazuchika Okada and Ishii and Naito and Evil, Los Ignobles de Japón. Like, I am a wrestling fan through and through. But the product is starting to lose its it factor because creativity feels lackadaisical because there's so many great wrestlers and only so much time to debut and to allow this talent to show itself. And that's why you have guys like Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin and Mustafa Ali going down to NXT to be able to get some TV time. And that's why you have guys leave WWE to go to these other companies to try to get more TV time, but they're just going to rosters where there's still too many people on there. And that's where the dilemma comes from. We have all these wrestling promotions with so many wrestlers, but not enough time. So, what is the answer to that? Do we need more wrestling promotions? Do we need Monday through Friday for wrestling? If it'll allow like guys like Keith Lee to get more TV time and to actually get creative control and be able to show how great of a master he is in the ring. Like I would like to have seen Dominik Dijakovic tonight. There's like so many guys that I would have liked to have seen tonight. But we got guys that I could care less about. Grayson Waller, Austin Theory. Yeah, they're young and up and coming, but their characters are so boring and so dull. And that the men's match, in my opinion, got outshined by the women's match because it was more about showing the young talent versus Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. And I love McIntyre and I enjoy all these guys, but you got to start, I don't want to say spoon feeding, but you got to start promoting these younger talents to the general audience, the guys who don't tune into NXT weekly. Because once they come up to the main roster, they're not going to have no kind of following, and people will be like, who is this young buck? I don't know. And I still think Montez Ford needs to get pushed to the moon. Regardless, that means he's got to drop Dawkins and Lashley. I would have loved to see Trick Williams. Why didn't we see Trick Williams tonight? Like, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. I got to take a swig of my Sprite because my voice is getting hoarse. It's frustrating to see all this talent on 3 of these rosters, and I know we don't need it to be a 40, 50, 60 man match, but at some point in time you got to stop cycling through the same talent, stop issuing in some of these new guys. And you're gonna say, but we got Braun Breaker and Hayes, is that not enough? Fuck no, it's not enough. No, we should have got Trick Williams, Dragon Lee, the other guy, the North American champion, Wesley versus Ricochet versus Dragon Lee. Like, I'm going to pull up the NXT roster right here, live on the set. It's not getting cut out because this is my show and I do what I want on my show. Simple as that. You get like Braun Breaker, Axum, Hayes, Charlie Dempsey, Dijak, Dragunov. Why wasn't Dragunov there? Answer me that. Why wasn't Dragunov there? Joe Gacy, Oba, Wesley, Trick Williams. I mean, it was cool seeing what's the old girl's name? Tiffany Stratton put on a show. Roxanne Perez. Why didn't we get to see Nikita Lyons? Lyra Valkyrie. Like, what about the Rock's daughter? Why didn't we get to see her? Like, it's very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. There are too much talent on these rosters for us to still get the same guys. It was nice to be able to see Sammy and Drew have their back and forth thing, but you know, who cares? I don't care. I want to see young up and coming talent. I want to see these young guys get TV time. I want to see these young guys on pay-per-view. And it's not too much to ask for whatsoever. But I do appreciate everybody who came through and tuned in. We did have 2 giveaway winners. I owe a copy of WWE 2K25 to a lucky winner. Make sure he needs to message me on Instagram. I'm going to be spamming the hell out of that game once it drops on March 8th. I'm looking forward to that. NCAA, Suicide Squad. I'm about to drop a 2K video and Madden videos, simulator videos. I'm in my bag. This went from like $360 to $497 in 1 month. I've been in my bag. I'm coming for everything they said I couldn't have. I don't know. I'm going to be diving deeper into my WWE bag going forward. Because I know there's a lot of people out there who water down their product to make WWE product seem better. When I'm not going to do that. I'm not sugarcoating shit. You can go watch all these other motherfuckers. One thing you can't say about me is I'm not like nobody else. I had someone tell me I need to be more like Corey Kenshin. I'm not trying to be the next nobody. I'm trying to be the first Gambino Gaming, your favorite neighborhood crabman. And at this point I am just rambling, but I got some things I gotta get off my chest. I do hope Triple H cooks something up for Elimination Chamber. Priest finally got to cash that thing in at some point. He's just holding on to it at this point, and it's getting annoying. Him eliminating R-Truth is crazy, as much as Truth has been funny for them, but that's nor here nor there, I don't guess. Does this mean Braun Breaker's going to the main roster? And Carmelo Hayes? Or are they going back to NXT? Like, I guess we'll see on Monday. Overall, I guess I give the Royal Rumble a 3.8. The women's match was good, probably the highlight, and then the Fatal 4-Way. In order, the women's match was probably the best. Fatal 4-Way, then the men's Rumble, then the U.S. title, probably in that order is how I enjoyed them. Let me know what you thought. Am I tweaking about my opinion? Let me know. I'm down. I'm always in the comments. You go check all my comments. I'm responding to the majority of every one of them, unless you're saying something outlandish. But that has been my random rambling reaction to the 2024 Royal Rumble winners, which was Bayley, Roman Reigns, Logan Paul, and Cody Rhodes, who can't finish the story. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I have been your host, your favorite neighborhood crabman, Gambino Gaming. I'm out this thing. Gone.